All right. Welcome to another episode of the Full Spectrum Cannabis Show. Here we go. I'm your producer, Sam, but today I am co-host Sam.
Yeah, co-host Sam.
Yep.
What's up, Sam?
Lance is here. So Lance Asher.
Like usual.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm well.
Good.
Yeah, we're
good.
gonna have fun.
Calandra's
Trial?
she's in trial right now.
Yeah.
Yep. So she called at 9 this morning and said she would not be able to make it. And she said that the whatever trial it is,
Yeah.
and we won't go into any details, of course.
Yeah, they say the law wins.
God, you two are really heavily bearded.
We are.
yeah.
Well, you're catching up.
I'm just letting it go, I guess. I might not shave for November. But anyway,
Just November.
Calandra's trial, she said these people are sucking the life out of her.
Yes, that's what happens
Yeah.
sometimes.
So
Yeah, well, we have somebody not to suck the lives out of
No.
us. We have Casey,
a guest.
Casey Solomon.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Hi, Casey.
Hello. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you know how this happened? Do you know anything about why
No,
Casey's
that's
here?
what's so exciting sometimes. And I don't pride myself on not doing research. I think that it's just a little bit more fun, right? So
Yeah.
I did look at the website. I went to
Okay.
the wrong website. It ended up being a German website. I caught an accent. I got rid of it.
You know of this website?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
You have to put the MN after
Right.
PhytoLabs?
PhytoLab. Yeah, singular.
PhytoLabMN.com.
Yep.
All right, so I did that much research to be like, all right, cool. Well, what maybe are we going to talk about today so I could kind of prepare?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
PhytoLabs.
PhytoLab.
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 Just for, I'll take either pronunciation, but when you're looking it up online, you're going to want to drop the S.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drop the
Okay. Otherwise, you end up in Germany, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, and Google doesn't immediately convert it. So some of it's like, oh, that word is familiar, but you have to kind of say it with a little bit of an angry accent.
I speak a little
you know?
German, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, good.
I lived there for a while.
A
little bit. Anyway, so yeah, you're well, Casey. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
I'm caffeinated.
Caffeinated.
Mostly, right?
Heavily
Finishing-
caffeinated?
Yeah, I like that. I like it that way.
You're
I'm like a 3-4 cup of coffee in the morning person. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Man, I'm a cup of coffee with espresso,
Okay.
and then it's kind of like a latte just without the 2 shots of espresso.
Okay.
I spread the espresso out a little bit with a little bit more water.
Yeah.
They call that coffee.
I see.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what they actually call that. Some barista or coffee shop owner will let us know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't do coffee really.
No coffee?
I used to, but
Yeah.
Like tea or?
No. Well, I like tea. Yeah.
Okay, so tea in the afternoon, or
can
like
do
what gets
tea.
you going in the morning other than just life?
Life. That's
Life.
it. I just get up and just crawl out of bed, pretend like I'm gonna be all excited and have a great day. No, I've always had plenty of the energy, but yeah, lately now that I'm like 50-ish,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't have as much energy as I used to. But
I mean, if you've held off this long, maybe it's the time to start, right?
I used to do coffee. There is something in coffee that I am allergic to.
Oh,
Not the
okay,
caffeine.
yeah. Yep.
But there's something that messes with me. If I drink a cup of coffee, within 10 or 15 minutes, I have to pee, right?
Sure.
Which is
Yep.
not abnormal, really.
Sure.
But it smells like freshly brewed coffee. Like
Oh,
it
man.
comes out,
So it's just like
it smells out
straight through you.
it,
Asparagus style, right?
yes,
You know?
it's like that weird. I'm like, holy crap! And then I get really lightheaded, and I've got to lay down for a while.
That's not fun.
No,
That's not the experience you want in the morning.
No.
Right?
No.
Like that's not what you're going
That does
for
not sound
to get you
wakey.
going, right? Yeah.
and it didn't used to do that, and I think it started around the time that I started developing allergies. So I think there's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? As we
Aren't you thrilled by this? Aren't you?
Oh yeah, everybody's connecting with us because the frost has happened and everything's good by now. And
Yesterday was Halloween.
yeah. When we're
That was
recording this, when this is coming out, it's going to be December, but almost holidays.
Yeah. Podcasts are timeless.
Yeah, they really are. You forgot about this already. But allergies, right? Like, what is the deal with that, right? Like, you know the kids that have ridiculous allergies. And
Right.
you're like, oh man, that would suck, right? But then you get a little bit older, and they start kicking your ass.
Yeah.
What is it?
I think I have some theories
Yeah.
about life. We'll get into cannabis here and that world eventually, but I've got some theories. I don't know, not that humans should all die young or anything, right? But I'm not sure we were really slated for the length of time that we've been having now for the last 100 years or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, as our technologies have gotten better and we stay alive longer and everything, we're all like, why is everyone dying of cancer? Why do we all get allergies? Why don't my eyes work anymore? Why is everything breaking down? Like, I just kind of think we weren't necessarily intended to be around this long.
I'm in strong agreement with it. Like, there are some people like, so I'm a nurse at this point, and like there are some people that I see that I'm like, you don't look a day over 60, and then I look down and they're 95, right?
Yeah,
And some people have that, and then there's people who are 65 that I'm like, gosh, you got to be pushing 100.
Yeah.
And it's how you take care of yourself and stuff. But then again, you get to the end, and then you have to think about like, what is the actual quality of life that you're looking for at the end? And I do think we push past that line quite a bit because people don't understand what it's really like to be in an end of life situation in a hospital, like, and actively, passing and things like that. Yeah. And there's pain and discomfort involved, and so there's a lot.
And cannabis can help with a lot of those things. We're not diagnosing anything, but hey, it can help with a lot of those things. The other thing that would help, right? So a bunch of young bucks in NASCAR, okay? Why don't we have an old person league, right? So we get
NASCAR?
We get to 90. We get to 90 or so. We get to 80 or so, right? You got to qualify, right? Which is quality of life qualification.
Sure.
And then you go and you start racing cars. Because at some point in time, you're going to hit the wall. And then, if you wanted to go, then you went a real fast way.
Is that?
I feel like you should have a plethora of options, right? But I think that the NASCAR crash should be one of them. I guess.
I think the league
Why
sounds
does it have
awesome.
to be NASCAR though?
I don't know. It just sounds exhilarating.
Could it be like
could be
horse
rally
racing?
cross.
Yeah,
It could be
it could be
rally
rally
cross.
cross.
It could be right. Like I just think that maybe there should be older generation sports that. I mean, you could die from because you're old and you really shouldn't be probably doing those, but you don't want to just slip and fall and break your hip and die of pneumonia in the hospital.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. I'm kind of following it, right? Because when this happens all the time. I grew up in Elk River, and it's kind of shit kicking redneck country out there a little bit, right?
Hey, before everybody.
I mean, I love you guys, but.
Before everybody moved out.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I love you. But anyway, every few years, some kid dies on a snowmobile. Like, it's just the way it works.
Right.
And then inevitably, everyone says, died doing what he loved. And I'm like, that's really sad, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, I get.
Intend for that.
Yeah, died doing what they love means traveling at 70 miles an hour on a snowmobile and running into a fence or something, like that sounds shitty to me. Or an avalanche out in, Colorado or whatever, or Wyoming. But if it was a 90-year-old on that snowmobile, you could say died doing what they love, and it would be like, you're right. Way to go, Grandma.
100% agree.
Right?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? We need to.
I brought
all
it,
right.
yeah.
So I know how I'm gonna do it if I am able to gracefully get to that point.
Yeah.
Start motorcycle racing at
Motorcycle
90.
racing.
drag
What's he
racing.
doing jumping over buses? I don't know what that's all about.
It sounds.
You only have to try it once, probably.
Probably.
It's like
Died doing what he loved.
being an amateur mushroom hunter.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be
Oh, that
perfect.
Zero training.
delicious once.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you
Tasted
going to
great.
do? I'm going to be a survivalist. What do you know about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm
okay.
just going to go
We'll
into
see
the
where I'm at
woods.
in a couple of years.
I
right?
think that this could be misconstrued as us advocating for some sort of way to get rid of old people.
No, definitely not.
Okay, good.
It's
Okay, good.
What it is for is that quality of life part of
I
it.
hear
Where
ya.
if somebody is like, I'm about to go in, not saying nursing homes are bad, but I'm saying, hey, I'm about to go into the nursing home. I'm not going to be in my home anymore. That's really where I feel human, right? And I hear from some people. And now this might be another option, but it's an option they get to choose, right? Before the mind goes away somewhere. And also, there's some things that cannabis can help as far as your mind going.
Okay, so we all know that. I can't believe we're going this deep into this, but here we are. Nursing homes, they take a lot of the old people's money. Not that they're
really?
doing bad
They do?
things, but
Yeah.
But it's a huge expense.
It is.
And so I'm thinking, getting a bunch of old people racing and maybe dying is expensive, but is it more expensive or less expensive?
I mean,
You know?
here's the thing. When we sorry, this just went into like total death, but
I thought we were going to interview Casey.
I mean, Cremation Society, people are buying their plots when they're our age. They're doing all of these things, pay for it when you have the money kind of thing, because it's going to go away at the end. But I really think if you had like a Camp Sam, and Camp Sam's got all of the fast things you could ever want, and the track for every one of them.
That's
and a waiver this
And a thick.
Yeah. Like,
Sure, and
Gotta
we're
sign
gonna
up for
charge.
health
We're gonna
insurance.
charge you. I mean, you got room and board. Everything's gonna be great. There's no health care,
so,
right? You're responsible for your own pills.
so how many? There's
The weed is included.
a sign out front that's like 47 people passed last week.
Yeah, exactly.
With a smiley face, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah. Like doing
Right.
what they loved. Right.
And pictures of everybody going like this
Yeah.
before they go and
in
compete.
their suit, they're like sponsored looking,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
Snickers and who sponsors stuff? Bud Light.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got the,
Bud Light will do it.
like the race car
Yeah,
drivers.
Bud Light will do it.
Yup.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yup.
For
Bud
sure.
Light. Well, they've got to come back from their snafu from a couple
Hey,
years ago.
I mean,
Oh shit.
it sounds amazing. It really does.
So when I told you before, I worked at a boys' camp when I was a kid, and there was a lot of talk amongst a certain small group of people there about like doing an adult camp because the kids get to go have all the fun,
Right.
and I think they call that a resort.
they do.
Like your turn for it. Yeah.
They do,
But-
but I mean, not the same type of care.
It's
Yeah,
but I
that you
mean,
get.
I think the idea was like, wouldn't you want to go somewhere where they're like, rise and shine, it's 8:00, come on in, we got everyone sit down and eat breakfast, and then like little kids, you're like, I signed up for archery today,
Right.
and then it's
Yeah.
all scheduled, all there, and you just have to go to your activities and do your stuff. I
Right.
think that's
All
that's
prepped
the idea.
for you. I love
Yeah.
it.
And
I love
instead of
it.
your parents sending you, it was your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids sent you to camp. You're like, fuck, I gotta go to camp next
Get out
week.
for the summer, mom and dad.
know?
We got parties to throw.
I like this.
All right. Well, that's a good end to that.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
is well that
we
ends.
can move
and
on.
that has ended, but I don't know how it doesn't sneak back in at some point in time. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, cool. Gosh.
Casey's he's got a lot. You
Yeah.
have a lot going on, or have in your lifetime thus far.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't
Do you want,
All 27 years.
30-second version, 5-minute version? Like,
Five minute version that will turn into 50 minutes.
Yep.
But that's just because Sam and I will turn it into that.
Yeah, it was all
totally
bullshit.
fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, what do you got?
So I guess we'll start like educationally. So I did my bachelor's degree at the U of M, got in biochemistry December 2009, and I had been
This is you graduated with a biochem degree.
Yep, just
2000?
my bachelor's.
Yeah.
Right. So in 2008, end of 2008, and then 2009, I had been brought into the recruiter's office by a former employer and had sort of accidentally signed up for the Navy Reserve at that time. I wanted to do it, but like it was like
By the time it came, you were like, shit.
I was like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into at this point?
This
Like
is-
it just kept rolling.
I've got a 17-year-old who is
Yes.
going to go talk to a recruiter. I'm not
Yeah.
going to. I'm not going to let him sign. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah,
but
before
I'm
he
curious.
signs anything.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So I was in the reserves at that time, and it worked out really well with college and stuff like that. I was doing my 1 week a month, 2 weeks a year during the summer, right, rocking and rolling.
Yep.
But 2009 was the surge, right? So Obama was elected, surge happened. So I think it was June 2009, I was sent over to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So I spent a year over there. I was in Kabul. I was an intel analyst for the Navy.
Okay.
But of course, the Navy sent me to a landlocked country. So I got rented out to the Army for that year. So I have a good and bad experiences with the Army and bad experiences with the Navy at that point. But it solidified for me that when I came back, I wanted to keep working on the science stuff. So when I got back, I applied for the grad program at the U, and then ended up getting in. That's a long story in and of itself, like how I got in, and I was like the last one on the cusp of it. Like somebody else canceled, I got a call the day before. I was supposed to go to drill. Like it was a whole thing.
Really?
Yeah. But
Was it because, like,
so?
is it a merit-based thing?
Yes.
You like that?
Yeah.
They were
So
like,
we'll just
this
say
guy
that
is
my-
the very tail end of what we'll accept.
100%.
Really?
So my undergrad GPA was like a 2.0 my freshman year, right? I tanked it.
That's passing.
Right? Yeah, barely, but passing. And I dragged that thing up for the rest of my time. I ended up with a 3.25 at the end of it, which 3.20 is the cutoff for grad school. So that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
But during that time, I had worked with a researcher there. Just as an undergrad, it was part of like our program. We had to get some either field experience or research experience. So I got into this lab, and she brought me in, and I worked with one of her grad students. We had a great time. That's where I really learned that I wanted to do research at that point. And she basically said, like, you guys would be an idiot if you didn't, like, at least look at him, right? Bring him in for the interview process. Like, you weren't even going to do that.
Right.
Bring him in for the interview weekend. He'll come in. You know, he's local. You don't have to put him up in a hotel. He's cheap. Like, just get him in.
Yeah.
And I did that. I explained my story, said, you know, hey, I worked my butt off the last, 3 years of college to
After
really...
screwing up
After
the first.
screwing up the first, right? You know, and just... that's the story. I'm working hard now. You can see progression the whole way. Like that's who I am. And eventually they said, okay. And so they accepted me into the program. I did that. I got my PhD from there. Doing structural biology is what it was. So I was doing, if you've ever been in an MRI, the same technology with a much larger magnet and a much smaller sample is what I did. So it's called nuclear magnetic resonance. If you've ever taken organic chemistry, you'll hate it and just not like it. It's the little spikes on the sheet that you have to read, and it tells you the chemical structure. Way more complicated. What we were doing was way more complicated than that. But we were using it to determine the three-dimensional structure of proteins, right?
Remember when we did that?
Yeah, right? So
And that was fun that one night.
Yeah, dude.
So you could actually do
was
this.
whiskey.
This is I incorporated. There's a game called Fold It. The guy who developed it just won the Nobel Prize.
Really?
Like a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago.
The game?
So he developed what's called AlphaFold, which is the three-dimensional protein structure modeling program. So you can take, if you know the sequence of a protein, right? You can take that sequence and you can put it in their program, and I don't know what the timeline is, but within a couple of days, you can get the structure of that protein. That was my graduate degree, right? Like that's what I did, and I didn't even get a full structure of a protein out of those 4 years that I spent doing that. I got an interaction interface map and some movement information during that 4 years. But and now he can do it in.
You have any idea what he's saying? I don't.
Sorry. Okay.
That's
No.
okay.
No.
Because
I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that do understand. That's who that's for.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a tiny understanding.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is really deep stuff that you've done. Yeah.
So that's what I did then. It was on HIV. It was like a human protein involved in HIV response, and we could do a whole show about that.
Yeah.
I really wanted to because that was my doctoral thesis.
Yeah.
But so we were doing that interaction stuff, and then right after that, I had always known that I wanted to be a professor.
Sure.
And so I got an opportunity to go teach at St. Olaf College, and an opportunity that usually doesn't happen because everybody goes adjunct and has to do like piecemeal classes, which is just financially ruinous.
Okay.
If I have to say, but they hired me on full time, giving me a full class load, benefits. It was nice. I was
Yeah.
like, thank you. And I worked there for 3 years, teaching biochem to mostly pre-meds, right?
Okay.
Because that's their kind of target population. I mean, I was working with real high achieving students, all that kind of stuff. I mean, these kids are great. And
Not 2.0s.
Super smart.
not 2.0s, right? Yeah,
Not
these are all people
2.0s.
that I
We
said it
know
many
you're
times.
out there. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of those 2.0s, but I'm actually a 0.0 because I didn't ever go.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you're theoretically you're 4.0 then too.
Oh,
I guess.
right.
You know,
Ooh.
you haven't hit anything. 0 divided by 0 is undefined. So you got
There we go.
you got that going for you. You
See?
can be
That's
anything.
what happens.
science.
That's what happens.
Or maybe
when
it's
you,
one shit.
You hang out with people
I don't want
smarter
to do
than
math
you.
on the radio or on podcasts. That's a bad idea.
This is amazing.
Yeah. So we were
We were at
We're gonna
St.
we're gonna
Olaf.
throw you off
St.
the whole
Olaf.
time.
That's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
and we'll
St.
get you back up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Just as long as we wrap back around to it, right? So I was at St. Olaf. I was doing stuff there. We could talk about research and stuff. We were just undergrads, right? So no grad students, nothing high level, but we got to do some cool stuff there. And then
So big magnet, little teeny tiny things. Was this where you were doing this?
so I did that at the U of M.
Okay.
Oh gosh, the U of M has an amazing facility. It might be
sure
the
it
second
does.
best in the country, just after like the national facilities.
Yeah.
But big stuff there. There's like a renovated parking garage that they've built these. I mean, because these things are 20 foot tall magnets.
Are
like,
they classic horseshoe shaped? Like,
No. No, I wish.
And are
still
they
get it.
red on the bottom and black on the top or whatever
Yeah.
the old the old magnets?
Almost. I mean, they have their
love
own
it.
versions of those things, right? They have markings on the floor all around them that says if you go past this with your credit card, you don't have a credit card.
Yeah,
anymore, right. Like basically like an MRI room, same
Right.
ideas, except these are vertical.
Okay.
So they go up and down. But you know, if you think about how big an MRI is and then multiply that by 2 or 3, you walk up to the top on like a catwalk platform around them. I mean, they are the scienciest looking science machines that you're gonna see.
Yeah.
God, that would
Right.
be fun.
Yeah.
So and St. Olaf had one, a much smaller version of it, but Yeah.
I'm just fascinated by this
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm just
Yeah.
asking random questions, perhaps. But like, is the magnet? Is it? Is it metal? I always thought.
So I wish I was wearing my other ring. So my wedding ring is made out of what the magnets are made out of.
Yeah.
So it's a niobium titanium alloy, and I know
Yeah.
that sounds like a made up thing, but
No,
it's real.
yeah.
And then the interesting part about them is the insulator is copper. So like what we use is our wire now is the insulator for this material. So if I'm understanding it right now, I've never built one of these things.
Yeah,
but
right.
the inside has do you remember those magnets where you wrap the wire around the outside of it and then you spin the magnet inside of it? It looked like an alternator. If you've ever looked at
Yep.
an alternator, there's all those coils
Yeah.
around it.
Sure.
Basically, it's called a solenoidal coil.
Okay.
There, and it's an electromagnet, right?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, the reason I asked if it's metal,
Yeah.
right, is I would assume that when you want a ton of magnetic force, you
Yeah.
use electromagnetic.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
And so that's what this is.
Okay.
That's what this is. So this is a coil. So this thing sits in the middle of the magnet, and the bulk of the magnet, that I call the magnet, is the housing for this coil. So that coil sits in the middle, and it creates a uniform magnetic field that's about 2 inches long by about half an inch wide.
Okay.
And it is absolutely identical, top to bottom in that until we start messing with it. But anyways, that coil sits in a bath of liquid helium, which is at 4 degrees Kelvin, 4 degrees above absolute zero. And to insulate the bath of liquid helium, you have a dewar of it that is liquid nitrogen.
Yeah.
Right? And liquid nitrogen sits in there, and then you refill into liquid nitrogen and liquid helium. So this stuff isn't a magnet until you're down at that temperature, right?
Right.
So it's resistive and everything, not going to do it. Once you get it to 4 degrees or, liquid helium temperature, they charge it. And God, I don't know what that process looks like, but they charge that magnet and then they pop it off, and that magnet is charged. As long as you keep it at 4 degrees, that never stops. It's a superconductor. There is no loss to resistance. You never have to, you charge it again maybe every few years. Or maybe every decade or something like that, you might have to. And it drifts over time because there's a tiny bit of resistance.
Sure,
But you can
lose
compensate
something.
for it, and it's all well within the spec. But anyways, those are the magnets. That's the magnet, right?
I mean,
is this insane thing.
Humans are weird.
We are.
Like, we have done. I'm not entirely convinced that we've that we should have done all of this. You can't undo it, right?
No.
But like we have a lot of weird shit in the world that we've
it's
created.
wild. It's wild. And the core of the science is one of these beautiful things like dark matter, right?
Yeah.
That we know it exists, but we don't know what it actually is.
Right.
Yeah, it's called nuclear spin, and is it spin? We don't know what that means in any tangible way.
Yeah, anytime
but we can manipulate it.
yeah.
We can read
So
it
even
out.
the people who know it know
Yeah.
that they don't know it.
Yeah, well, you put the
Makes me feel
spaceship a little
smarter.
too close to the hole and,
Suck right into the yeah.
you know.
It could be tiny little black holes in
And then
there. I'm
you-
not sure how it works, right? You know,
I mean,
maybe.
is it possible that one day it's just all gone because someplace like that, like they
man.
overdid it and they're like, and then the Earth is just woo,
Yeah.
and anyone looking from outside is like, oh, that one's gone.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it past us,
Yeah.
right? You know, like we could probably figure something out. I don't know that we can right now. I'm hopeful that we can't,
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised if one day it's just like,
Yeah, I
don't,
mean, like,
don't
we're-
touch that switch. That erases reality. And you're like, oh, okay.
There's some wild
Why
person
doesn't it
that's
fit?
like, you want to know what? I bet you we can turn the Earth into a balloon
Yeah.
and deflate it, and it goes.
And then just gone. Yeah. Out of the solar system. I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Casey,
Okay.
what the hell, man?
Yeah.
You're pretty smart.
Whew, gosh.
I mean, just take
About
it.
this.
Just take it.
Yeah.
I know you're upper Midwestern. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy to accept. But you went and fought for our country, and we're put in situations with whatever that whether that's good, bad, or other, I don't know. You came back, you know enough to describe a giant magnet and how that works. And you played around with those things, and now you're working in cannabis.
Yeah.
I think that's important for people to know. I honestly do. I think that when people kind of in our legacy cannabis world, right, people think, oh, pot, those fucking pot smokers. Like,
Wish they'd get a job.
Yeah.
You're like,
they
what?
never amount to
What do
nothing.
you mean? Oh, you want to know what? Some people wake up in the morning, they're not doing a gram, they're not doing a dab, a gram of a dab, or dabbing a gram,
you're
or
saying.
whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
But there are some, and for some of those folks, it really actually sends them on to function.
Some of the smartest
for the
people I
day.
know. I personally can't, I have a hard time with the THC these days. But maybe about the same time I developed this problem with coffee, right? Who knows?
Oh, interesting.
But
That's why we got to play with other cannabinoids. It doesn't have to be THC. THC is just
Right.
the psychoactive one. The benefits are in all of the other minor cannabinoids mostly.
yeah, well, and I'm certainly still an advocate for it all because,
Sure.
but I do think it's important. So I met you at Audi Sologram's, what would you call that?
Twin Cities Startup Week panel that
Yeah.
we did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was just amazed at, because I'm kind of new to this whole cannabis world,
Yep.
how many really intelligent, intellectually capable, thoughtful people are in this. We got, I'll put you in that category too.
Oh,
You
thanks,
and Calandra.
buddy.
No, it's true.
I appreciate
I mean,
that.
it's not just, it's where there is a stigma or there is a history of the way that cannabis has been, marijuana specifically, has been demonized in a certain way that we need to undo that somewhere.
Yeah.
So here you are.
All of that fun kind of caused for us to not inform and seek education or educate ourselves around the plant, and then because this plant was demonized in that way, maybe we didn't give plenty of other plants and roots some things, and the kind of the herbal medicinal Eastern way of some things. We're like, psh, what do we need that for? We can press pills.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, great, but how about we put some plants in
Yeah.
some of those? That would be cool too.
And I think that I mean, natural products research has been the source of so many of the things that are now medicines to us, right? Like you look at penicillin, you look at aspirin, you look at a lot of these things. That's the starting point. And I think that going back to like the professionals in the industry, right? Like a lot of people, I'm all about recreational use, right? Like I have a good time. I like to smoke weed.
There you go.
Right? Like I enjoy it in that way. When we start talking about it like medicine, then I am not opposed to it, but I want us to treat it with the same care and respect that we treat other medicine as well. As far as it, like that links back to what we do with the testing side of it, just making sure that you're not giving somebody who is already a patient, right, already has a condition or a syndrome or some issue that they are currently dealing with, that you're not putting pesticides into their body now that they have to deal with, that you are providing to them the amount of THC that you say, the amount of CBD, THCV, CBN, CBG, CBC, right? Like all of those ones, right? Those are the things that we want to be able to tell people, and we want to be able to give them confidence that you're putting a safe, clean, reliable, and a product that you know, an honest maybe product into your body in that case, right?
When you go buy a bottle of Tylenol or Advil or whatever, you want to know that what's in there is what they say is in there.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you remember? What was it? The 70s or the 80s?
80s.
80s when that person tampered with it, and
Yeah.
that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a huge deal.
It was no joke because that was poison in medicine, and that was. Like nobody thought that was funny.
Right.
Nobody thought that was okay. I'm sure they put her in jail for quite a while. I think it was a woman that did that.
I think it was a woman, and I think it was to poison her husband or something like that.
yeah.
And but she managed to. She didn't want to get caught, so she
just snuck into a bunch of bottles or something,
something
right?
like that.
Gosh, yeah.
Totally wrong, probably. No, I do remember
we
that.
can fact check that, but like I know that the
You
general
don't even
idea
need
of
to
the story.
fact check it. You can fact check it if you want, right?
Look
Like
it up.
we don't know. We said we don't know, but it might be this.
in that vein, right? So people care about that stuff, and like people that if you've got cancer, right? You don't want other stuff in there. You're also probably not smoking at that point, right? So you're going to ingest in some other fashion. So again, you still need to know what's in there, right? And especially if you're concentrating things down, right? You're taking a plant and extracting and concentrating.
Right.
You may just have a dusting of pesticide on that plant, but in your extract, you may have all of the pesticide that was on every part of that plant extracted with your cannabinoid. Depends on the pesticide, right? You need to know those things, especially if you're giving them to other people, right?
Yep.
Everybody gets to take that risk on their own, right? I grow plants in my basement.
Yeah.
I know what fertilizers I put on them. I know what's in there. I know when we get powdery mildew and like what the risks for that are.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So
What is the risk for powdery mildew?
well, I just don't think you want to be smoking a bunch of powdery mildew,
No,
just in general.
right?
And
It
then it
sounds like
also
a bad
chokes
idea.
out your plants, right? It's just more of a growing issue in there. Because there's mildew on things, and we all have musty basements and stuff like that. But over a certain amount, like it's an issue. And there's other types of molds that are more of a problem, like aspergillus. Aspergillus, if you smoke that and it gets in your lungs, you could very likely die.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't want, if you get a mold infection growing in your lungs, there is no way to fix that really. Like it's very, or the ways to fix it are
They'll kill you.
yeah, they're close to the condition itself. So it's like you don't want to have people doing that. So that's one that, there's a few, and then there's some salmonellas and some E. coli's that you don't want to be in, especially consumable products. Right. If you're smoking them, you have less of an issue with maybe some of the live bacterial stuff because you're burning it.
It's fire.
Right. But if you're putting that into a product, then you've got to worry about those things still being alive and
and
getting
so
you sick.
this is why we test.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Which
just
is
to
what
know.
you do now.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where we're going. So we're doing very basic stuff right now. We are able to do potency testing for
full panel or just potency
just
right
potency
now?
right now.
Okay, because you're working on other equipment and stuff like that. You were saying.
Yeah.
So
we're
let's.
building out.
So this is PhytoLab. We should. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get back into PhytoLab and the whole story of it and why you're doing this and what exactly you're doing.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sweet.
Great.